with a great number of excuses not to share this information. So in 2009 and 2010, I gave TED Talks demonstrating the power of publishing open government data to the web. In the first, I had the audience chant, "Raw data now." Around this time, UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown invited Rosemary and me to Chequers, the Prime Minister's country residence, for lunch. Chequers has a very pleasant L-shaped garden at the back, and as we ate, Brown asked us, what should the UK do to make the best use of the internet? "Put all the government data on the web for free," was my immediate response. "OK," he said, "let's do that." Brown then asked if we might lead the initiative to do that, but there didn't seem to be enough time to do so between our work with the Web Foundation, W3C, and Rosemary's board commitments. Rosemary suggested that Nigel Shadbolt, then a professor at the University of Southampton, take the lead. Meanwhile, I was able to secure from Brown a funding commitment for £45 million to develop a semantic web institute that would make work in the field accessible and interpretable for researchers and the public. Data.gov.uk launched in 2009, and both Nigel and I were eager to get to work. But then, in 2010, the Labour Party lost the election, and Brown was replaced by the Conservative Party's David Cameron, who immediately cancelled the project. Fortunately, Nigel and I got to make our case to Cameron as well. He seemed a little uncomfortable talking to scientists, but he had the very bright minister David Willits assisting him. With Willits's help, in 2012, Nigel and I secured a grant of £10 million from the UK government to start the non-profit Open Data Institute, ODI. This was all coordinated on the civil service side by Gordon Brown's private secretary, Jeremy Hayward, who somewhat unusually stayed on to become Cameron's head of the Cabinet Office.
I heard the explosion from here. Not with my ears, but with my heart. If the touch of the blessed Naruadal is not enough to bring the Arakoa to redemption, nothing will be. Those who have not given themselves over to the light are mere servants of evil. They must be destroyed. Vale Rays was a particularly wicked colony of Skedis. Despite the village's eradication by the Auchendon disaster, Teruk's influence remained in the maligned spirits. Travel west to Vale Rays and slay those murderous wretches. You'll find them to the west of the Shadow Tomb, on the border of Bone Wastes and Terokar Forest. This will be our first blow against Terok and the Guardians of Sketis.
You found all my friends. Now I have someone to play with. Thank you, Mr. Adventurer. Since I have kids to play with, maybe you would like one of my toys? That way you have something to play with, too.
Hurry back!
Somehow I got the Eye of Divinity here. I don't know how I got that.
Jeremy was a wonderful, quiet doer of good. He sadly died of lung cancer in 2018, which was a great loss for the community and the country. We consider a dataset open if it is free for anyone to use, analyze, and reproduce. For this reason...
Well, I guess I said earlier with my microphone off that if you're a cell phone user, you should probably listen to this audiobook, download it from the link, or read the ebook. Because this guy, the inventor of the World Wide Web, Tim Berners-Lee here, he's on my side. And he's confirming that everything I've been saying is correct.
W3C came up with grades for different data formats governments or others might use, rating them with 1 to 5 stars. 1 star, make your stuff available on the web, whatever format, under an open license. 2 stars, make it available as structured data, e.g. Excel instead of an image scan of a table. 3 stars, make it available in a non-proprietary open format, e.g. CSV instead of Excel. 4 stars, use URLs to denote things so that people can point at your stuff. 5 stars, link your data to other data to provide context. To encourage government ministries to publish their data in a structured, non-proprietary, linked format on the web using URLs, we had 5-star data coffee mugs made up and sent them around. We didn't always get 5-star data released, but it was at least a step in the right direction.
Generations ago, when Orc clans still called Terok-Ka Forest home, the wolf spirit played an important role in their lives. When the orcs departed, they had no longer had any need for the spirit, and they left it behind. In time, the spirit grew lonely, and it too left the forest. I believe I can bring the wolf spirit back to his ancestral home, just as we orcs have returned. The ritual will require me to create vestments from the pelts of the wolves of the forest to guide the spirit back to its home. These are perfect, adventurer. I could not have asked for better. You've done well in gathering the first pelts. The final piece of the vestments requires a pelt unlike any other. There is one particular wolf, an old and cunning one, that has earned his place as the patriarch of the forest wolves. In my visions, I have seen him wandering the northeastern region of the forest. Including his pelt in the vestments will surely light the wolf spirit's path. Do not mourn Ironjaw. He will be well honored.
It's about time he got that outpost up and running. We've lost far too many runners to Alliance Outriders.
Does that sound like an orc?
The ODI secured office space in the Old Street area of London and hired a staff of around 30. We later moved to King's Cross. We began working with policymakers to make all sorts of government data, tax info, census data, official government statistics, more open and accessible to citizens, journalists and analysts. The work continues to this day. The ODI also helps governments build digital tools to interpret all this information. For example, we developed a visualization tool to help the UK government tackle the spiralling cost of living crisis, highlighting hotspots across the UK where the combined cost of fuel, food, housing and debt were making whole swathes of the country unaffordable for young people. The ODI's work has great potential to keep citizens better informed about what their governments actually do. Legislation in both the US and UK guarantees that new government data is open and machine-readable by default. The ability to analyze these datasets allows for a much better understanding of what's actually happening in our countries.
You know, come to think of it, I do recall selling several boxes of strange and exotic engineering parts to Empor about a month ago. I'm not sure what they'd be used for, but I know that they were delivered to Turim. Perhaps one or more of those boxes is still there.
Should I PvP? Okay. Okay. I have never done Arathi Basin with bots yet, I don't think. Oh, shit. Oh, what a cheater. Oh, my God. Never did this before. Oh, shit. Oh, my. So stupid. What am I doing? Cheating. I'm cheating. I don't feel good about it. Where's my pet? Oh, he's gonna res, huh? I should actually have him be resto, dude. Have a little spot healer. What is he doing? Maybe I shouldn't have had him be resto. He just changed specs in the middle of fighting. That's awesome. Changing specs in the middle of a fucking PvP battleground. Oh my god, you've never seen anything like it. That's such bullshit. Are we winning? Yep. Good. Oh, that's bullshit, dude, how I could just fucking fly. That's awesome. Oh man. That's bullshit. Uh-oh. Oh, come on, res me. Yeah. Yeah, he's fucking tagging it. And he's healing me. That's awesome, dude. That's pretty cool. Now, I want to make sure we keep that center. Come on, where is he? Where's my guy? There he is. Cool. Heal me! Heal me, man! That shit hurts, holy fuck! The heals aren't that good when he's like... Shit. Let's see, talents... Spec. Talents... Talents... Spec list. Talents... Spec... Cat PvP. Auto gear. What am I fucking... Holy fuck, what the fuck? Jesus. I am not geared for this. I'll take that. Where's my healer, man? He needs to stick with me, you fucker. Where are you going? Go get him. There you go. What is this water elemental doing here? What? Come on, dude. That's cool that they can do PvP, man. Come on, man. I'm in combat. I always love to fucking mark people when they're on that road right there, because it always scares them. Because it changes their attitude. They like they stop going that way a lot of the time. I don't think it'll work on bots, but... Shit, they're gonna fucking try to tag that one. Oh, I see you, bitch. Woo-hoo-hoo! Nice crits. I don't know if his spec is like making a difference or not, but I should have actually had a 5-man team. Inspect them all PvP. That would be pretty awesome. Well-oiled bot PvP team. Just defend, fuckers. Don't go on offense, man. We got this with 3. You guys should know that. You're bots. Okay, good. Still got that water elemental chilling. I don't know where the mage is, but the water elementals stand there for some reason. I remember being able to set my pet somewhere. I can't, for some reason, I can't do it anymore. But I used to be able to set my pet, like, here. Uh-oh. Good. Need backup. Get him. God, those paladins are fucking strong, dude. Bullshit. And that's a 62 paladin. Oh. Oh fuck. What the fuck is this? Get the fuck out of here. Is that a tree running? Oh, come on, dude. This is bullshit. What, nobody's defending? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Whoops. Whoops. Womp womp womp. Oh man, what a cheat. Oh, you son of a... Where is he? Is it a fucking rogue? It's a rogue, isn't it? I see you. Womp womp. Let's see. Damn, that warlock was doing some damage. Oh my god. Alright, well, let me get that fucking trinket back on. Holy fuck. So let me see that dude's spec again. Oh, AI was reset to defaults? Feral combat. Okay. See, this is some sort of a bug. They're trying to fly somewhere, but they're getting stuck around here. Like Alliance here. I don't get it.
For the UK and other advanced countries, the ODI's work often involves navigating large-scale government bureaucracies, some of which are centuries old. But in developing countries, this data is sometimes being digitized for the first time. Either way, transparency as a public good is an excellent foundation for democracy. In 2015, the ODI provided technical support for the first democratic election in Burkina Faso in over 30 years. A mobile web app, powered by an open government data portal we helped to design, delivered results from 21 districts within hours of the polls closing. The result was Burkina Faso's first ever democratic transition. The web community had a number of allies in our fight for open data. One of the most important was the activist and hacker Aaron Swartz.
I did not know he was going to talk about Aaron Swartz, dude. I do remember he, Tim Berners-Lee did have a tweet. He tweeted about, you know, we lost one of our best today. You know, when Aaron Swartz committed suicide. Aaron Swartz was the guy who was trying to fucking liberate JSTOR.org. All those academic papers and like different literature from that fucking lockdown commercialized website by grabbing it all and releasing it. But he was busted before he could get it all. Aaron Swartz. There's a documentary on YouTube about it called The Internet's Own Boy.
The had a number of allies in our fight for open data. One of the most important was the activist and hacker Aaron Swartz. Aaron had co-founded Reddit, but he found corporate life uncongenial and had taken up the crusade for a liberated internet. He spent a lot of time at the MIT campus, and I was one of his mentors. He attended semantic web meetings, and he'd often come for lunch in my office. He was lively, intelligent, and connected, with wonderful enthusiasm. Aaron's approach to opening government data was more direct than my own. In 2008, in collaboration with Carl Malamud, an advocate of the public domain, Aaron had downloaded much of the database of U.S. federal court records, known as PACER. Even though it was public information, you had to pay to access PACER, and Aaron thought this was unfair.
Yeah.
Working at the public library, Aaron created a Python script that automatically pulled requests from the site, and over a few weeks, he and others collected nearly 20 million pages of legal documents and placed them in a free online archive called Recap.
Oh, does the internet win again? See? Fuck these corporations. Fuck the people trying to lock shit down.
The project drew attention from the US government, and the FBI began an investigation into Aaron's activities, though no charges were ultimately filed. I admired hacktivism of this sort, which achieved through direct action what lobbying did not.
Yes.
Aaron and Carl belonged to...
Do you cell phone cocksuckers get it yet? How dare you be so eager to open your fucking wallets?
Ethereals, goods delivered to Turim, exotic engineering parts, and a blood elf getting ready to deliver this last box to Firewing Point? What does all of this mean? How does it relate to what happened to the druids in the Cenarian thicket? I think we should have a look inside that box.
I admired hacktivism of this sort, which achieved through direct action what lobbying did not. Aaron and Carl belonged to our growing group of protesters who felt this kind of information should be open and free, as indeed the law clearly dictated. The U.S. Department of Justice had somewhat maliciously complied with the law by sticking PACER records behind an expensive paywall. A single case might cost several $100s to access fully.
Fucking
the
nuts.
Recap archive showed what happened when you forced governments to make things truly free.
I love that shit, dude. Okay, I'm getting a drink. Man, it fucking feels good to win every time. Now, we don't just have governments and corporations as our enemy, we have fucking cell phone people as our enemy. Those people do not want to share. They will turn your ass in. They will try to stop you. They will report shit. They will report you for sharing, dude. That's how fucking... Those guys are your enemy, man. Never give respect to fucking cell phone cocksuckers.
No, man.
Alright. Where am I? Oh.
Spirits be with you, man.
You've done well in gathering the first pelts. The final piece of the vestments requires a pelt unlike any other. There is one particular wolf, an old and cunning one, that has earned his place as the patriarch of the forest wolves. In my visions, I have seen him wandering the northeastern region of the forest. Including his pelt in the vestments will surely light the wolf spirit's path. Do not mourn Ironjaw. He will be well honored. The pelt is even more magnificent than I had hoped. This is a good omen, adventurer, and the spirits will favor you for your contribution to this ceremony. I have fashioned a helmet for you from the remaining pelts, adventurer. It identifies you as a mighty hunter and an ally of the great wolf spirit of Terokar Forest. I've nearly completed the vestments that I'll wear during the ceremony. As I add the finishing touches, I'd like you to set this incense by the candles near the runestone to my left. I believe it will help us to attract the wolf spirit's attention, since it was made in the days of the Orcish clans. I can almost imagine my ancestors using it in a ceremony paying tribute to the wolf spirit after a successful hunt. Once you've placed the incense, I'll begin the ceremony.
This calls for immediate action. We have someone out in the field closer to Firewing Point that I want you to speak with. She'll have a better idea of what our next step should be. Report to Sergeant Chauny out at Stonebreaker Camp and apprise her of the situation. Take the road north out of the hold. From the middle of Turim, follow the road to the east.
You'll find the camp on the bank of the river that lies just southwest of Firewing Point. Good luck, adventurer.
Bomb parts. So my suspicions were true. That's not something that I wanted to be right about. Okay, you and I have some grim business ahead of us then.
We know that the Blood Elves of Firewing Point are working for Kael'thas and Illidan. And from what you've told me, clearly they are using the Broken of Turum as smuggling go-betweens for the creation of some horrible weapon. Whatever they're up to out there, the most efficient thing that we can do right now is to thin out their numbers. The Firewing Blood Elves need to be taken out. Head up to Firewing Point to the north and see to it.
Aaron was part of the local open data community, which included myself, Carl, and the renowned legal scholar Lawrence Lessig, with whom Aaron was very close. Aaron was also connected to members of the hacktivist collective Anonymous, who would conduct denial-of-service attacks against targets they thought were unethical.
That's not cool. I don't know if he was a part of that. That's pretty lame to DDoS people you don't agree with.
Did not agree with everything Anonymous did.
Oh, thank you.
But I appreciated that they were fighting a battle against big corporations and big government. Give me a choice, and I will take the side of Robin Hood over the Sheriff of Nottingham. Following the Pacer pull, Aaron, using an MIT guest login he'd been issued, began bulk downloading articles from JSTOR, a paywall digital library that holds the vast majority of articles and papers produced by academics worldwide. Aaron believed that academic research funded by public money should be freely available to everyone. But this was a more aggressive action than the Pacer scrape and would end up having significant legal repercussions. MIT first organized a sting operation, catching Aaron in the act with a computer he'd stashed inside an unlocked cupboard and linked to the MIT network. Aaron reached a settlement with both the campus police and JSTOR. I thought MIT was overreaching and had argued that it should drop the case. But then federal prosecutors brought a number of disproportionate wire fraud committed via electronic communications, charges against Aaron, carrying the possibility of 35 years in prison. This for bulk downloading academic papers.
Yeah, that's stupid, dude. All he did, he bulk downloaded the papers, dude, which were already free. He just did it faster. He just got around their fucking throttled limitations. That's all he did. And they fucking went bonkers on him, dude. Dumbass fucking government.
On the 11th of January 2013, after negotiations for a plea bargain collapsed, Aaron committed suicide in his Brooklyn apartment. Aaron's death came as a massive shock. Shortly after, I posted a memorial poem for him on Twitter. Aaron dead. World wanderers, we have lost a wise elder. Hackers for right, we are one down. Parents all, we have lost a child. Let us weep. I attended his funeral, where his family and the Tech for Good community overlapped. His family was sitting shiva for him, and there I got to know the other people in his life. I hope his family realized what huge respect everyone had for him. Aaron is greatly missed. Chapter 12. Machine Learning is greatly missed. Chapter 12. Machine Learning In spring 2014, the web celebrated its 25th anniversary. The exact date I first submitted my proposal at CERN is lost to time, as the first document reads only March 1989. But when you invent something, people tend to want a specific date to be celebrated, so I give them the 12th of March, which is actually my mother's birthday. As the years have gone by, I've enjoyed that little link more and more. Not everybody knows about it, but you do now. A few weeks after the web's official 25th birthday, Google hosted a congratulatory dinner for the Web Foundation at their colourful offices in London. Upon arrival, Rosemary and I were greeted by a series of enormous Union Jacks painted on the walls. We passed through the playfully styled recreational zones and lavish cafeteria before arriving at the staff breakfast and lunch hall, which had been cordoned off for our dinner. This was classic Google style, upbeat and fun, and I was grateful to them for hosting the affair. It turned out to be a momentous occasion in more ways than one, for it was at this 25th anniversary celebration that I first met Demis Hassabis, one of the brilliant computer science pioneers behind the revolutionary AI startup DeepMind.
That's a good start. But based on what you witnessed there in the courtyard, as well as intelligence that I've received, we have a far more pressing matter at hand.
Did he just drop the microphone? he either dropped the mic or he farted.
They're building a second mana bomb in the courtyard.
Wait a minute. Oh man, I can't listen to it again, I don't think. Ah, shoot. That was pretty funny, too. It sounded like he just dropped the mic.
And now, a Nobel Prize winner. Google had acquired DeepMind for $400 million a few months earlier. At the time, this was an unprecedented sum for an AI acquisition, although in later years it would come to look like a bargain. At the anniversary, Google had scheduled me to talk first, with Demis giving the closing lecture. After a simple and delicious dinner, I gave a few remarks on the past, present and future of the web. Then I took my chair and listened as Demis began to outline the extraordinary breakthroughs the DeepMind team had made. Demis was a kind and obviously extremely intelligent man. He spoke in a quiet and unhurried voice and was easy to understand. But what I appreciated above all was the way he could take complicated concepts and make them simple. I find that the smartest people are often the easiest to talk to. Demis had been born in London to a Singaporean mother and a Greek Cypriot father. He had excelled in school as a young man and had captained England's junior chess team. In his early 20s, Demis had for a time worked as a video game developer, but this proved to be an insufficient challenge for his intellect. After receiving a PhD from University College London, he went on to confront greater tasks. In 2010, along with Shane Legg and Mustafa Suleyman, Demis founded DeepMind, looking to build the world's first general artificial intelligence, capable not just of playing video games or solving chess problems, but of tackling any task that a human could do. At the dinner, Demis outlined the incredible progress his team had made in just 4 years. Rather than building logic atop a layer of facts, as the semantic web community had done, Demis had used a neural network, a type of software patterned after the biological brain. At DeepMind, his team had created a synthetic training environment to allow this neural network to learn by itself. The first challenge was the simple video game Pong. The neural network was given the paddle controls and a view of the screen and told only that getting points was good. It started out terrible, slowly got better, and after millions of games played Pong like a master. Soon the same network learned a variety of other vintage arcade games, receiving no instructions save the overall objective of running up points on the screen. I watched Demis's talk with great interest. Despite my interest in AI, I had never worked with a neural network. The AI winter of the 80s and 90s was long and brutal, and for many years it had been almost impossible to get funding for neural network research. I had my own research track, and I didn't really know the machine learning people. Neural nets were interesting, but they had never been very powerful. It was Demis who showed me how such systems, which could learn without explicit logic layers, could in fact solve hard problems. As his talk progressed, Demis discussed the great number of recreational and scientific fields to which these neural networks might be applied. As the talk came to a close, he also sounded a note of caution. DeepMind was making such rapid progress with AI that there was a risk such systems might advance beyond human control. The audience reaction was one of dumbfounded awe. When someone did manage to get a word out, that word was usually, wow, although Rosemary recalls a few people also saying, uh-oh. For many of us, Demis's talk was our introduction
Uh-oh.
to the modern neural network paradigm. There seemed no question that AI, and machine learning in particular, had made a radical and unprecedented breakthrough.
Adventurer, I think that after you're done celebrating here, you should go back to the Cenarian thicket and speak with Earthbinder Tavgren. I'm certain that he'll want to know what really happened out there.
I've nearly completed the vestments that I'll wear during the ceremony. As I add the finishing touches, I'd like you to set this incense by the candles near the runestone to my left. I believe it will help us to attract the wolf spirit's attention, since it was made in the days of the Orcish clans. I can almost imagine my ancestors using it in a ceremony paying tribute to the wolf spirit after a successful hunt. Once you've placed the incense, I'll begin the ceremony. This is incredible. I set out on this journey unsure of whether the wolf spirit would answer our summons, and now it feels as though he's always been here. Perhaps he was, adventurer. Perhaps he was waiting for the orcs to realize what their choices had wrought.
Damn, I almost ran out of arrows there. That was close.
For the horde.
Come on, you fucking ledge. Oh, I swear to God. The developers put shit in the game that you get your fucking feet caught on. It happens so goddamn frequently.
Later, we met with Demis for a private dinner in London. After he cautiously turned his cell phone off, he expressed to us his concerns that the world was fragmenting into competing AI spheres, one centered in the West and the other in China. The research communities were feeding the AIs information about individual people. Given government regulations, Google had to jump through a lot of hoops to feed this information to their AI, but China didn't have that hurdle. He was concerned this might allow China to take the lead. I was worried at that time that AI might become a strategic military issue. Most of the time, web technology lent itself to building a shared environment for people to collaborate. AI, however, had a lot of weapons-grade applications, creating the potential for an arms race. In China, the Great Firewall was already in place and a lot of sites were blocked, nor was China the only country doing this. In my conversation with Demis, I saw the potential for more offensive capabilities. AI could produce weapons, tools to probe cybersecurity, and the ability to breach another country's defenses. All of these concerns have proven well warranted. But if there were concerns, there was also optimism. I was, and am, tremendously excited about the potential for AI. Over the years, Demis and his team have taught their neural networks to do increasingly powerful feats, graduating from simple arcade favorites to complex games of abstract strategy. In 2016, the AlphaGo neural network became the first computer to defeat a human world champion at Go. In 2017, its successor AlphaZero emerged as the most powerful chess computer in existence. Concurrently, Demis was teaching his machine to tackle the tricky protein folding problem. Protein folding is the process by which chains of amino acids form into three-dimensional shapes. Biochemists looking to speed the development of new medical treatments wanted to model this molecular origami, but computers had struggled with the problem. Demis and his team, building on their insights into chess and Go, produced AlphaFold, a neural net which predicted protein shapes with unprecedented accuracy. In the past, it might take a graduate researcher their entire PhD to figure out a single protein. AlphaFold could do it in minutes. For this, Demis was awarded the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And a little more than 10 years after he delivered his Web Foundation anniversary lecture, we were once again invited to a celebratory dinner hosted by Google. Now it was our turn to congratulate him. Demis's success led me to reflect on my own research. What we might call the facts and logic approach to AI had produced some useful tools. Apple's Siri came from this approach, as did IBM's Watson, which had been programmed with facts about medical data and Jeopardy questions. There was also Stephen Wolfram's Wolfram Alpha, which is a great resource for maths homework, giving both logical and also beautiful graphical results when asked a general question about advanced maths. These systems had all been built deliberately with explicit knowledge bases and rules, and with more or less complete lists of things the machine should be able to answer. Some call this arc of development good old-fashioned AI, or GoFi for short. Machine learning works differently. It has 3 legs: software, hardware, and data. The software is the neural net and the various techniques used to train it. The hardware is a special kind of microchip known as a graphical processing unit, GPU, which can process calculations at incredible speed. NVIDIA, who makes such GPUs, is, at the time of writing, one of the most valuable companies in the world. It is the third leg, the data, that is in many cases the missing piece of the puzzle. For this reason, I see the semantic web, the web of data, as being complementary to the work Demis is doing. Having a world of carefully organized data is very helpful to AI, whatever approach you are using. To solve the protein folding problem, for example, Demis had trained AlphaFold on vast libraries of known amino acid sequences and their related protein structures, which acted as the practice questions and answer keys for the biochemical curriculum. There remained a vast ocean of data out there from which this new form of AI might learn. Web data, in particular, represented an open frontier, and a few years after Demis's 2014 talk at Google...
And now they're trying to call it copyright if they use public internet data to train the AI.
The OpenAI team began to train powerful new language models using almost the entire web as an input. More on that in a bit. There was also your personal data, which might be employed in all sorts of powerful new AI tools, but only if you trusted the systems in charge to use it. Travelling the world with my smartphone in hand, I was by now convinced that transforming the storage and use of personal data was the key to saving the web and improving our digital lives, and that Solid offered an excellent way to do all this. I had an airline app for each airline I used, but they didn't talk to each other. I couldn't look up a British Airways booking in the American Airlines app, and I had to tell them separately about my preferences and my passports, plus enter this information again any time I took a new airline. Then there was the Customs and Borders Protection app I use when I land in the US, which of course didn't talk to the airlines. I had an Apple Wallet which took credit cards, boarding passes and train tickets, and even a coupon for a meal at Club Passim in Cambridge, but the wallet didn't take my rail cards, which I had to show on a different ticket app. And while Apple Health did a good job of importing fitness data, it didn't have my vaccination cards. Really, I thought to myself, what's wrong with this picture? How have we ended up in this situation? An alien coming to Earth would think it was very strange that I had to tell my phone the same things again and again, things it had just told me. One reason the apps on my phone didn't talk to each other is that we basically don't trust our apps. The fear, which is a valid one, is that some app on my phone or on the web is going to attack me and harm me using my data, so we can't just let them all talk to each other. Another reason the apps didn't talk to each other is that they couldn't, because they didn't speak the same language. If two people each write an airline app, they will store pretty much the same information about flights and seats, but they will write it in a way in which they can't read one another's data. If you've got so far in this book, you'll know that this is where standards come in. You'll know that standards are where developers from different companies and different projects come together and work really hard in goodwill and good faith to make a common language. Under these circumstances, each of their apps can communicate, and you can use different apps at different times or at the same time. You can use any web browser because they all speak the same hypertext language, HTML. You can pick any podcast reader, as they all speak the same language, RSS. You can pick any calendar app, because they all speak the same calendar language, CalDAV. With calendars, in fact, we are already more or less in the world that I want to get us to. On my calendar app, I can mix in data from quite different parts of my life. My personal, very private calendar, calendars I share with my family, ones I share with my friends, public calendars from my favourite band, my favourite sports team. And when you ask me whether we can have dinner tonight, the app pulls all that in and displays it so I can make an informed decision. I want that power for everything else too. It's obvious what we have to do. Make standards like CalDAV, but for everything. That's what the SOLID protocol does. SOLID also deals with login and permissions and functions as a kind of universal language. You can store anything on that data pod, including tickets, contracts, vaccinations, credit card transactions, exercise data, flights, diagnoses, genomes. Now, as the amount of data you'll generate in this way is overwhelming, in the near future you'll want AI to manage this data and make connections for you. Of all the apps you use, obviously a powerful AI is perhaps the most important to be able to trust. But when I was first considering the links between SOLID and AI, looking at the preponderance of then relatively simple voice agents like Alexa, Siri and others, it seemed they all worked for big tech. That is, they were constantly acting as agents for airlines, hotels and so on. I wanted an AI that worked for me. In 2017, I wrote for a talk, which became a note on my Design Issues hypertext page, an imagined conversation with such an AI, which I called Charlie. Bob was fed up with the AIs around him, who all seemed to work for other people. So he got Charlie. Charlie is an AI, and Charlie works for Bob. Because Charlie works for Bob, Bob gives Charlie access to much more data than he would another AI. Charlie, who do you work for? I work for you, Bob. Good morning, Bob. Good to see you on the exercise bike. Your fitness goals are on track. In fact, because the meeting was moved, do you want to stretch this to the full hour? We can do some climbs and have time to unwind. Okay, sure. Okay, so let's start at 100 cadence to warm up, and we can go over a few things. Overnight, a bunch of offers came in for your art, but as far as I could tell, none of them really make sense to you after you've paid the fees. I just invested a little in one new startup, mainly because it will give you something else in common with your mother-in-law. Speaking of relatives, you have quite a bunch of vegans coming on Saturday. I took the liberty of making up a recipe for the thing you really liked at the Indian cafe the other day. You made up a recipe? Well, the chef hadn't published that one, but he has published a dozen books, so I read those as a training set and then extrapolated how he would cook the menu you liked. Then I compared it with the linked open recipe data and adjusted it a bit for the way you like things.
That's a good bot.
So I propose to get the food from Whole Foods, Waitrose and the farm. We can get the best stuff and save 12% on the bill. Okay? Okay, Charlie, let's go for it. Okay, the recipe is in your calendar. I'll leave you to your workout now. When you are done, there are two things: a new briefing for your meeting today and the upcoming family birthday presents. I found a bunch of things, but I'm not sure they are right. I want you to look at them.
A bomb utilizing pure mana that can take out whole towns. But why? Why would the Blood Elves create such a thing and use it on us? The Cenarian Thicket was a place of peace and repose. Whatever the reason, it must be locked inside the head of Warden Treelos, and I have no idea how to cure it. Perhaps his mind will heal in time. Regardless, I want to thank you for helping me to figure out what happened. I can only hope that this tragedy will never befall anyone else ever again.
Okay? Okay, Charlie. Who do you work for? Legally, ethically, and algorithmically, I work for you, Bob. Of course, in 2017, the power of AI actually to have that conversation was, I imagined, many years away, not realizing large language models like ChatGPT would soon be a thing. In fact, this is the near future. Such systems are right around the corner, but if we are to prevent these systems from exploiting us, it is critical that we get the data layer right. We need a layer where we control our own data, and we can share anything with anyone or any agent, or no one. In 2016, nearly 40 years to the day after I graduated, I returned to Oxford University, this time as a research professor at Christ Church College. Returning to Oxford was a great personal honour for me, and I was really happy to come back. I revisited all my old haunts, the coffee shop, still there but under new management, the wide greens and narrow passageways, and of course the rivers. Oxford had been a great part of my education and early life, and those 3 years as an undergraduate had been very special. It was a privilege to re-enter academic life. One of the great things about Christ Church is its interdisciplinary nature. When I go to lunch there, I never know who I might be sitting next to, a molecular biologist, a scholar of Old English, or a geographer with theories about the formation of modern towns. At one meal, I was seated next to Roger Davis, a professor of astrophysics, who told me excitedly and very articulately about all the new exoplanets we were discovering in orbit around distant stars just from studying the flicker of starlight. Over time, Roger Davis and I became good friends. My new office at Christchurch had a second-story view across a tranquil meadow to the River Thames. Walk around to the opposite side of the building, and you could look down upon the Dean's walled private garden, which housed the large and unusual-looking Jabberwocky tree. Charles Dodgson, a professor of mathematics at Christchurch, had looked at these same trees, and they inspired his poem, which he wrote under the pen name Lewis Carroll. The Dean's daughter, Alice Liddell, often played in the garden, entering through a small secret door in the wall. She became Alice in Wonderland. At Oxford's Computer Science Lab, I was able to invite students to participate in building out the SOLID protocol. A key challenge was how to get insights about a group of people using solid pods without disturbing the privacy of the individuals. In some ways, nothing had changed with the younger generation. They were all online, of course, they all had phones, but they were at that special time in their lives with limitless potential.
Still catching his breath, the messenger gestures for you to sit.
They may not survive, champion. Get to Garadar as quickly as your legs will carry you.
In response to your blank stare, the messenger elaborates.
The home of the Magha lies to the south, in Nagrand. Take the southern road out of the marsh, then turn east at the first fork and look for a large settlement on the lake. Find our commander, Captain Crowan, there and offer him what assistance you can. Garadar must not fall.
Mr. Gazgrig, you don't sound like an orc.
Now, I can tell if someone groks the potential of a technical proposal by the reaction in their eyes. With solid, often people's eyes go flat. But with maybe one person in 30, their eyes begin to twinkle. They get it. With the undergrads I worked with, that proportion of twinkling was much higher. They were sponges for new ideas. I began to split my time between Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Oxford, England, moving into a former rectory. English countryside living suited me well, and Rosemary adored it too. As ever, I sought to acquaint myself with the place by running, and soon I had a regular route that took me through tilled pastures, rough brambles, and half a dozen quaint but well-preserved villages. The end of my route went past a centuries-old village pub, with moss accumulating on a sloping, rough-hewn roof. I often returned with my shoes soaked with dew and my shins torn from brambles. I was at the old rectory late one evening in 2016 when I received a phone call informing me that I had won the Alan Turing Award. Presented annually in Silicon Valley by the Association for Computing Machinery, the Turing Award is sometimes also called the Nobel Prize of Computing. It was a tremendous honor, and Rosemary and I went for a walk through the village and looked at the stars. Of course, first thing the following morning I phoned my parents. No one understood the importance of this award better than them. They had known Alan Turing personally. Both of them were delighted for me, my 95-year-old dad especially. Now, in my house growing up, when you accomplished something special, you got a clipping placed on the kitchen refrigerator with a magnet. My parents took an egalitarian approach to recognition, and while they were alive, the four of us children shared fridge space equally. The Turing Prize was enough to get my photo to the front of the fridge, but it gave me no special privileges. The award was presented a few months later at a banquet dinner in San Francisco. As you might imagine, it was a very geeky affair, not quite the Oscars, although everybody in computer science was there. Many past Turing Award winners attended, including Vint Cerf, who was turning 74 that day. We opened the festivities by singing Happy Birthday to him. After I was presented with the award, I delivered my acceptance speech, which ran a little long. When Tim's brain is running, it goes so fast that he doesn't complete his sentences, Cerf recalled. His ability to generate another concept in the next 30 milliseconds is incredible, but once he gets wrapped in something, he's totally unconscious of what's going on around him. After I'd been speaking for about 20 minutes, Vint whispered in my ear, "You're holding up dinner," he said. I quickly wrapped up my remarks. The trophy was a handsome silver bowl, which I added to my growing collection of prizes. Some of them seemed to have been invented solely for the purpose of getting the recipient to show up at an awards dinner. Sitting through awards dinners can get pretty tedious for Rosemary after a while. As my mother said, there should be a prize for the person who has to sit through the prize ceremony. Being at Oxford kept me in contact with the UK's burgeoning artificial intelligence scene. In fact, the next person to join the computer science department at Christchurch was Yarin Gal, one of the top machine learning people. By the mid-2010s, machine learning techniques were spurring a behind-the-scenes revolution in the way internet content was delivered. Machine learning was being used to connect listeners to new musicians and shoppers to new products, using a technique called collaborative filtering. I first came across collaborative filtering while using the music recommendation service Last.fm, which had been spun off from
I never used Last.fm.
Southampton University in the UK in 2002. Last.fm scrobbles.
I never understood why anybody would use that shit when you could always just download the MP3s. It's like, why would I ever want lower quality and not own it and censored? Why would I ever want any of that shit? I never understood. I still don't understand it. Yeah, it's convenient, but the things that you lose isn't worth it. Why would you want censored? Why would you want to use more battery on your phone as you're walking around? Because streaming obviously uses internet, uses more... Like, it's just all negatives. Why?
My music library to keep track of my listening habits. This university in the UK in 2002. Last.fm scrobbles my music library to keep track of my listening habits.
I don't get it, dude.
Well met.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well met. What's on your...
You want to earn a place in this safari? You'll have to prove...
Wait a minute, that's not necessary.
You want to earn a place in this safari? You'll have to prove yourself. I don't care what you've hunted before. You haven't hunted until you hunt what we hunt here. Start with the Cleftooth, if you're man enough. I know that I've seen them in the immediate area around the safari, and also close by to the south.
Come on, dude. That is not...
This information is then compared against a database of users, where my habits are matched with clusters of similar listeners. So if I listen to a lot of Paul Simon, and I do, Last.fm will look at the habits of Paul Simon fans to see what other artists they liked, and use this information to make predictions about what else I might like to listen to, perhaps some band I'd never heard of until Last.fm recommended them to me. The more listeners who use this service, the smarter this prediction service becomes. The ability of collaborative filtering to find you something you like is great. Spotify, following the lead of Last.fm, uses it to automatically generate playlists and radio stations customized to user preferences. Amazon and other online retailers incorporate the collaborative filtering technique into their product recommendation services, greatly improving the online shopping experience. Instagram, Pinterest, and other social media sites use collaborative filtering to provide personalized recommendations. What I was less excited about was the ability of collaborative filtering to find what agitates you. I saw this happen on platforms like Twitter and Facebook, which were optimizing for engagement rather than enjoyment. It turns out that if you feed people provocative content, you can keep them on your platform for longer. So the AIs started showing nastier and nastier stuff, rage bait, basically, which made users angry and argumentative, but kept them logging on. Over time, this collaborative filtering contributed to deep political polarization across many societies.
Bunch of dumb suckers, if you ask me. A bunch of dumb suckers just fell for that shit. And they sit there and eat those advertisements, and they don't do anything about it. They're just fucking gobbled up by corporations, and they don't even understand that they're being fucking controlled. Critical thinking, man, it's number one.
Legacy media platforms on the web began to lose attention share to the social media companies which thrived on toxic discourse. Soon, political operatives realized they could use this new form of engagement to their advantage.
Why do you think when I tell people to get in voice chat, they don't get in voice chat? They're just a phony fucking baloney, dude. Bunch of fucking phonies. Repeating the same shit that they're being fed by these corporations.
The first indication that something was seriously wrong was the UK's decision to exit the European Union. The pro-Brexit crowd sold their position to the UK public on false terms, promising that exiting the EU would reduce immigration, improve the UK's economic standing, and help balance the UK's budget. The deceit of the Brexit campaign was not itself unusual. What made the Brexit campaign different was how it misled the public. The classic political misrepresentation is repeated ad nauseam on stump speeches and TV sound bites and even buses. In other words, it is broadcast. Everyone can see what is happening, and the countervailing truth can be broadcast to combat it. But in addition to this, the Brexit campaigners did something very different. Rather than just broadcasting misinformation on TV, they narrowcast it via social media to the segment of the public that was most susceptible to their message.
Yeah, dumb suckers, uncritical thinkers.
The Brexit campaigners were assisted by the British political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica, who were experts in using Facebook data to target voters. Cambridge Analytica initially denied being involved with the Brexit campaign. It was only after the leak of a 10-page document entitled Big Data Solutions for the EU Referendum that their participation was definitively revealed. Cambridge Analytica's strategy involved identifying and micro-targeting persuadable voters based on advanced analytics to assign values on particular traits to the entire voting population of the area in question. Demographic profiling of the electorate was also nothing new, but the vast amount of data harvested on users resulted in far more detailed and accurate profiles than ever before. This could then be combined with A/B testing, where user response rates to variations on the same political messaging were tracked to find the most effective headlines. The combination of micro-targeting with misinformation resulted in effective, personalized political propaganda delivered in secret to the segment of the electorate most predisposed to believe it. I'd add that another important factor in the Brexit debacle was the dysfunctionality of Article 50, the clause in the Treaty on European Union that allows a member nation to initiate a withdrawal from the EU. Perhaps if there had been a Brexit vote after the negotiations, as well as before, then it would have been clearer what we were voting for. Instead, we had to vote on what the politicians promised. And as a result of narrowcasting and micro-targeting, those promises could be different for different individuals. The Brexit outcome had many causes, but a new political messaging system was surely one of them. However, I don't think I really understood how bad that system was becoming until the US election of Donald Trump later on, in 2016. Here too, Cambridge Analytica played a role, working out of a second-floor office in London to influence the American electorate. Today, in the United States, we have somewhere close to 4,000 or 5,000 data points on every individual, Cambridge Analytica CEO Alexander Nix told Sky News a few weeks before the election. So we model the personality of every adult across the United States, some 230 million people.
How does it feel to be manipulated, cell phone people?
Looking back, perhaps the influence of Cambridge Analytica was overstated in the immediate aftermath of the election. It is easy, though, to see why it caused such controversy. Traditional broadcast media had fairly strict regulations regarding political advertising. Social media had few, if any. Furthermore, as the messages would only be seen by the small sliver of the population judged most receptive to them, it was very hard to track what was really going on. You didn't have to be a political scientist to understand the damage that provocative, targeted, secret, and highly individualized propaganda could do to democratic discourse.
But you're always going to have propaganda. I don't think you're never going to stop it. So I hope he doesn't advocate for that shit, because you as the individual have to learn critical thinking. Critical thinking, skepticism, and therefore you can decipher whether or not somebody's bullcrapping you or you're being manipulated. You need the skills to do it.
I compare it today to an undercover megaphone. I was in America for election night in 2016. A friend had organized a watch party at his house outside Boston. Following the polls, I had expected Hillary Clinton to win. As such, I'd brought along a bottle of champagne for the occasion. The watch party was festive to begin with, and many were excited that the so-called glass ceiling was about to be shattered. As the results began to stream in, the room grew quiet, and the looks on my friends' faces turned from giddy anticipation to quiet disbelief. As the night wore on, it became clear that Trump, while losing the popular vote by quite a significant margin, was going to succeed in winning a majority in the Electoral College and secure the presidency. The mood at the party grew stony, and people began to leave. I slunk off to the side and hid my bottle of champagne behind a curtain.
Well, why is it so dramatic?
Perhaps it's still there.
Whatever, dude.
Chapter 13.
Come on.
Design issues. I had known for a while that something was wrong with the web. What was intended to be a tool for creativity and collaboration had become divisive, polarizing, and toxic. I had often talked publicly of the 2 C's of the web: creativity and collaboration. After 2016, I began to talk of a 3rd C: compassion. I was greatly concerned that the human element of the web was beginning to disappear. In its place, we had large, faceless systems which spied on and manipulated the user. Ever since my time at CERN, I've been recording my thoughts about the challenges facing the web on a public hypertext page entitled Design Issues. I've been continually contributing to this web page for 35 years. I consider it the world's first blog. You can find it here, https:// to this web page for 35 years. I consider it the world's first blog. You can find it here, https://www.w3.org/designissues/. The order of the posts is a bit scattered, and the language is fairly technical, but this approach is driven by what I'm trying to say. Having started this set of notes in 1990 in the, for me, novel medium of hypertext, it has been difficult to tear free of it. My attempts to lend hierarchical or serial order have been doomed to failure, I wrote in a 1998 post. Neither have I found it easy to restrict myself to separated technical or philosophical arguments, and somehow this is, I feel, also important. The sharpening happening, after all, where the knife meets the stone. Following the political upheaval of 2016, these comments seemed more relevant than ever. The web was lacking in compassion, but this was not a human failing, it was a design issue. There was something wrong with the technical side of the web that was encouraging this toxicity. I identified 2 symptoms stemming from the same disease. Currently, the most egregious symptom is polarization. Social media, as currently built, leads users to take extreme political positions and demonize the opposing side. This makes constructive...
Yeah, but then again, you don't have to go to those websites. You don't have to engage in that shit. In fact, most people who engage in that fucking kind of crap aren't even qualified to speak on the topic because they don't know anything about it. They're just repeating shit that they've heard before. It's so frustrating, dude. So why, they're not experts, so why even fucking bother looking at it?
Engagement difficult, allows outlandish conspiracy theories to flourish, and promotes demagoguery over deliberation. Soon, civilized discussion about important issues becomes impossible.
Well, text discussions for those kind of topics is stupid in the first place. Like, you can't ever get anywhere when you're talking at people instead of to them. You get in voice chat and you hash it out and you find out real quick who fucking knows what they're talking about. It's better. Use it for that, goddammit. I should contact this guy, dude, and let him know. Hey, this text shit's not fucking working. Trying to, call it discussion when it can't really fucking be discussion in text. That's your first mistake, Charlie. You got to get away from this notion that you're going to get anywhere by typing to people. Especially cell phone people. Come on, man. You got to get in voice chat. And then you hash it out, and it's so fucking fast. You find out in fucking milliseconds whether or not somebody actually knows what they're talking about. Not hours, not days. It's so easy to feign intelligence using your keyboard. It's just not good enough, man. So the shit he's talking about right now bugs me because it just... They're looking at the internet in the wrong way. It's like we've evolved. He keeps talking about all the technologies. We've fucking evolved from keyboard and mouse only. We have microphones now. Microphones. It's the thing that we lacked in the early 90s. Most people didn't have microphones. But now we do, so there's no fucking excuse.
Polarization, I fear, might have dire outcomes for humanity, with consequences on a global scale.
And I've seen it with my own eyes. People were more likely to get in voice chat back in the day in the early, mid-2000s than they are now. Now they're even more gutless. And that's not an internet problem, I don't think. It's the last couple generations problem. They're fucking just anxious to communicate with other humans, dude, period. Like they order their pizzas on the internet. They book appointments with the doctor on the internet. They don't actually call for appointments anymore. It's like they're too fucking nervous to even do that.
The second symptom is more individualized. Many social media users report suffering mental health issues after prolonged usage. The catalogue of ills related to social media is alarming. Anxiety, depression, jealousy, inadequacy, feelings of isolation, body image issues.
It's because they're typing to people. Don't you see? They need to fucking communicate in voice and they have to stop giving their personal information away. You get it?
Even suicidal thoughts. This mental health epidemic is especially acute among young people. What is the common design issue that leads to these unfortunate symptoms?
I'll tell you the common design issue. There's no voice chat button next to people's comments. When I see a stupid comment on the internet, I want a button to call that motherfucker right then and there. Oh, you want to say the earth is flat, huh? Ring, ring, motherfucker. That is the design issue. I want a call button next to every fucking text comment on the internet, dude. People need to stand by the stupid shit they type. If you're gonna type something dumb, you better be ready to fucking defend it. Or you're gonna call from nirvgorilla.
Web scientists analyzing the information sphere have concluded that there is a direct link between social media and polarization. Social media companies are using machine learning techniques to make users addicted to their platforms. These systems are designed to be addictive, feeding people more and more extreme content, making them alternately angry and sad. Unfortunately, there is a quirk in human psychology that draws us to these negative emotions. What did the social media giants have learned to exploit? Now, the desire to draw and retain users is as old as the web, and it can lead to wonderful things. During the early days of the web, users would put hit counters on their blogs, which showed how many times the page had been visited. They would also link to other related blogs in a collaborative attempt to drive traffic. Excited by the thrill of someone reading your stuff, You aimed to make your work interesting and valuable, and you tried to link to other good people. From this, the interconnected network known as the blogosphere developed, broadening the universe of discourse and allowing a great many new voices to be heard. The blogosphere emerged organically, and I didn't anticipate its development. It remains one of my favorite parts of the web. You can draw a direct line from the hit counters to the like and subscribe culture of the modern web. When
Like and
social media
subscribe.
began to take off in the late 2000s, its growth at first resembled that of the blogosphere.
I don't like that he's using the word social media. He never really defined it yet. He never really defined it. He's just kind of loosely tying that word social media to Facebook and Twitter and shit. But he's not bringing up like IRC and the shit that came before it in regular forums. He's not identifying that as social media. We've always communicated on the internet. I don't know why there's a distinction. Why? Why is there a fucking distinction here?
Early users of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram often remarked on how fun these platforms were. But the algorithms that organized and presented content on these services prioritized engagement over enjoyment, collaboration, or mental health, and
Speaking of enjoyment, man, I'm having a blast playing World of Warcraft on my own server where nobody is tracking me. Okay? Am I clear on that? I'd like to be very clear that the game I'm playing right now is free, open source, and doesn't track you. You can do and say and play and whatever you want in this right here, in this world, and nobody is tracking you. It's pretty fucking awesome. There we go. There's a wild elk right there. Most of the things I do on the internet are totally private and secret and privacy respecting or open source these days. You know, especially with my learning of Linux, really improved on that.
soon the fun was gone, replaced by the signature act of doom-scrolling through endless streams of invective, propaganda, negative news, conspiracy theory, and envy-inducing lifestyle bait that preyed on the user's fear of missing out. In this way, the social media giants began to harvest users' attention on an industrial scale, vacuuming up a large portion of all web traffic. One of the first to sound the alarm about these harmful but effective algorithmic practices was the software engineer Tristan Harris. Working at Google in the early 2010s, Tristan argued to his colleagues that software designers had a responsibility to ensure humanity did not spend much of its collective waking consciousness in a state of smartphone-induced anxiety. Tristan left Google...
Smartphone-induced? Guys, come on. Please get a computer. They're better. And you'll have more power. He talked a little bit earlier when I was out on a walk with my girlfriend. I was listening to the book, and he was talking about how, especially iPhone and Apple, are trying to trying to get you to not use your fucking browser. And in fact, they intentionally slowed it down, degraded performance of the Safari browser, so that you would go install an app where, of course, Apple gets a cut of anything you like buy or pay for, like a subscription onto those fucking apps. Apple gets a cut, so they don't want you using browsers. And browsers give you more power and more control in terms of what you're looking at, which is exactly what I've been saying for fucking years. And I've been trying to explain this shit to people, but they didn't fucking listen. These cell phone people, like the people I tagged in this goddamn stream today, in all my recent streams, those fucking cell phone people are such goddamn idiots. They're exactly the people that need to read this book. Because, this is your privacy. This is your personal information. This is your life you're talking about here, really. You're being fucking bamboozled by corporations, just hoodwinked, man. You need to care about this shit. Since they don't listen to me, maybe they'll listen to the guy who invented the fucking World Wide Web here, Tim Berners-Lee.
Google to found the Center for Humane Technology and produced a 2020 Netflix movie about this issue called The Social Dilemma, which I highly recommend.
Wait a minute. I gotta see if I have that. I do have it. I'm gonna share my screen right now. I just searched it on my Jellyfin server and I have it right here. I don't think I've seen it. I have it though. Oh God, it's a movie. I don't know if I want to see a movie. If it was a documentary, maybe.
The film presents the fictionalized narrative of two American
fictionalized.
Teenagers, Ben, who is radicalized by provocative online political content, and Ilsa, who develops depression through her constant exposure to unrealistic beauty standards online. There are a lot of Bens and Ilsas out there. In June 2024, Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General of the United States, called for a warning label for social media similar to the warning...
A warning label? I'm sorry. Oh my God, dude. It requires education. I don't think a warning label... I don't know, man. Just the people who are here, man, need to learn a little bit about the internet. I don't know. I'm trying to teach them, but they don't want to learn.
A fair start. But that's just the beginning. The lesser cleft hoof prove nothing. Let's move you up to a bigger challenge. You've proved to me that you can find and take down a regular cleft hoof. But far more dangerous are the cleft hoof bulls. Bag yourself 30 of those. Then you can talk to me of your hunting prowess. Look for them all along the middle region of Negrin to the west and south. Impressive. Most impressive.
His name, Gankly Rottenfist. He tried a fucking rogue gank attempt.
Impressive. Most impressive. You've got potential, kid. Now I'm going to give you the chance to have some real fun. Banthar is the fiercest and most elusive of all the cleft hoof in Outland. She's also the hairiest. It is said that she roams with her cleft hoof herd in the Field of Spirits near Oshugan. You want to truly prove your hunting mastery? Bring me her horn.
Okay, so Nessingwary is a fucking foreign.
Labels placed on cigarettes. In an editorial in the New York Times, Vivek cited several grim statistics. Adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of anxiety and depression symptoms, and the average daily use in this age group as of the summer of 2023 was 4.8 hours, Vivek wrote. Additionally, nearly half of adolescents say social media makes them feel worse about their bodies. Unfortunately, Tristan's movie, like many criticisms of social media, only points out the problem. It does not mention what to do about it. It does not dive in at the point the algorithm is being trained and ask, suppose instead of optimizing for time spent on the website, we instead tweak it to optimize for constructive engagement. Let's imagine what that small change would do. I agree with recent comments made by Yuval Harari, author of the books Sapiens and Nexus. If a social media algorithm recommends to people a hate-filled conspiracy theory, this is the fault not of the person who produced the conspiracy theory, it's the fault of the people who designed and let loose the algorithm.
No, it's the fault of the people who buy it.
Even though he endeavors to hide it, a look of relief spreads over Krogan's face.
It's about time you got here. Granted, you're not an army, but any able-bodied champion that can wield a weapon or chant a spell is welcome here. The people of Garadar are kin to all the Horde,
Why
and
are
we
they
are
my
proud to
enemy?
shed our blood in their defense. My original orders were to remain in Garadar for a short time, then continue on and report to Blood Golmok at Shadowmoon Village. What I've seen in my time here is that Garadar could benefit from a long-term Horde liaison. I know that Bloodguard Gomuk needs all the troops he can get, but I know he'll understand that my mission here isn't yet complete. Travel to Shadowmoon Village, in northwestern Shadowmoon Valley, and inform Bloodguard Gomuk of my delayed arrival.
This is fucked up, dude.
I have escaped certain death, surviving a cowardly nighttime attack by Boulderfist ogres upon my village. But I ask you, stranger, for what?
Joran points to Garrosh.
He has refused to give us assistance. Ogres are rampaging through my town, and he sits here, weeping into a fire. What has become of us? What will become of us? I've sent a scout, Kilrath, to the village, now the bleeding hollow ruins. Will you find him and give him your assistance? He hides on the border of Nagrand and Teruk.
So, because I didn't do the Magar shit over here, probably, it's probably why I can't get these fucking quests. God damn it. I better go over there real quick and find out. So I'm gonna teleport Bralmar and go check it out.
Yuval has called for such algorithms to be regulated by the government. While I generally oppose the regulation of the web, in this instance I agree.
No!
My feeling is that regulation should be minimal and only used when absolute...
No, dude, you're wrong. No. God damn it, Tim.
While I generally oppose the regulation of the web, in this instance I agree. My feeling is that regulation should be minimal and only used when absolutely necessary. But, as I write this book, it is clear that...
It's not up to you to protect somebody's stupidity. You can't do it, dude. You need to teach people critical thinking. That's it. How many times do I have to say it? People don't need to be protected from bad information. They need to develop the skills to combat it themselves. There's always going to be crap information out there, and there always has been. You don't regulate that shit. Fucking cocksuck. Don't piss me off, Tim.
Among all the wonderful things on the internet, and even all the not-so-wonderful things, there is a particular phenomenon which is causing harm.
No, it isn't.
I want to be clear that I do not think we should get rid of social media in general. Social media is a fantastic innovation with tremendous potential to bring people together. And given the vast amount of information uploaded to social media every day, we need algorithmic agents to organize the media that we see. All we need is to regulate the addictive algorithms, the ones that guide people into rabbit holes. It's the technical design decisions of the social network sites that drive this kind of polarization that we're targeting. It's the algorithm that's been trained to produce this outcome. We need to change that, one way or another. I've been thinking about this problem for some time. In June 2024, I posted a diagram to my Design Issues page, which I called a map of everything on the internet. At the top were the data layers and protocols. These fed into the systems we all use, like email, the web, calendars, etc. On the right side of the map were all the good, open-source, transparent systems, coloured in green. On the left side of the map were the harmful systems, coloured in red, and flowing into a menacing diamond entitled Feed Manipulation for Engagement. People use the internet in a lot of ways which are actually helpful, benign, and even lead to good mental health, mutual support, collaboration on tough problems, and unbelievable creativity. Apart from the web, they send emails, they read blogs and listen to podcasts. On the web, they dive into and occasionally edit Wikipedia. They use maps and weather sites. They share photos with friends and family. They buy stuff. They sell stuff. They do a lot of things which are useful at school and at home and not harmful. So there is a strong argument for providing a phone which has the good bits, but not the bad. I drafted this map in response to a wave of people asking me if their kids should be allowed to have a smartphone. My answer to this is basically yes. Kids should learn to collaborate, and they should learn to collaborate online with their friends. What we have to block is not smartphones, not even social media, but the harmful algorithms often used by social media, the psychological equivalent of giving kids access to a slot machine. Politicians in Australia recently proposed a ban on social media for kids under 16. While it's great that Australia is realising there's an issue with children doom-scrolling in their classrooms, a ban is a bit draconian and deprives kids of a useful tool. What the Australian government should do is partner with phone manufacturers to create devices that block that very small but ultra-invasive part of the web that causes mental health problems and polarisation. These can then be replaced with better platforms. One such platform is the microblogging protocol Mastodon. It's my preferred replacement for Twitter, as it's completely open source and runs across a distributed network instead of a centralized server. Mastodon's feed is structured on the timeline of events and the people you follow, without other more corrosive elements. As it is not funded by advertisements, it is not incentivized to hook teenagers into addiction. Without this incentive, the service becomes much less corrosive to mental health. We can even go a step further. What if we trained algorithms for constructive engagement? What if we trained algorithms to maximize the joy people got out of discussing things with others rather than feeding off hatred? Such algorithms already exist. For example, Spotify and Apple Music's algorithms do a pretty good job of selecting music that listeners will enjoy. Another site that seems to do a better job of promoting positive content is Pinterest. With such thoughts in mind, in spring 2024, the American businessman Frank McCourt organized a consortium. His aim was to buy the US assets of the video sharing platform TikTok. Frank is a wealthy Massachusetts real estate developer who has decided the best thing to do with his time and fortune is to fix the internet. He founded Project Liberty, an NGO that builds solutions that help people take back control of their digital lives. Frank, like me, is concerned about the damage that social networks are doing, which he sees as a result of their ownership of what he terms the social graph, the unique set of connections with other users that we build through our interactions online. Frank, like me, is also concerned that the lack of interoperability between social media systems means that users can't import their social graphs from one platform to the next. For this reason, Frank wants to develop alternatives to the eyeball maximizing approach that TikTok has used to capture the attention of the world's teenagers.
I don't know how that works because I think TikTok blows and it doesn't capture my fucking eyeball because it's one of the worst fucking video players in existence. It's fucking vertical shit. The quality, the bitrate is fucking low. How the fuck do you dumb goddamn generation put up with that? I want low quality vertical videos because I'm a fucking retard. Get fucking real, man. You're so dumb.
He wants to turn TikTok into something calmer, something more like Pinterest. His thinking...
Pinterest fucking sucks. There's fucking, they're horny and trying to get your money all the time. That fucking limited lockdown shit. They try to make it hard to save anything on that shit website. Fuck all those websites, dude. Come on, Tim. You need to talk about hosting your own fucking website. Not going to these shit ones.
...is similar to my own. Let's not ban this service. Let's instead develop algorithms which maximize the TikTok user's quality of life, not their time on device. TikTok actually has the potential to do a lot of good. And with this in mind, in May 2024, I endorsed Frank's bid. Of course, adults are susceptible to the toxic effects of algorithmic feed manipulation, just as teenagers are. This negative engagement cycle has poisoned much online discourse, and in the US, this has led to a broken political environment that just a decade ago would have seemed impossible. By promoting the most engaging content, which, remember, is actually the most provocative, social media's feed manipulation algorithms can even turn outlandish lying into a winning strategy. This is a global problem. In the 2022 presidential election,
So is that why I'm having to make fucking 50 videos a goddamn month? Just straightening out the bad information and destroying fucking idiots?
in the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos, son of deposed President Ferdinand and Imelda, eschewed traditional journalism to build his own social media ecosystem. Marcos used Facebook and TikTok to whitewash the human rights abuses of his parents' authoritarian regime, as well as to blame both the CIA and the Vatican for their downfall. The liberal weapons of historical accuracy and fact-checking are simply no match for Marcos' creative folklore, turbocharged by social media fan culture and relatable influencers, wrote Jonathan Corpus Ong, an academic who studied the Marcos disinformation network. We need to make social media that works for democracy. I'm encouraged by work done at the MIT Center for Constructive Communication, who, in conjunction with the non-profit Cortico, recently launched Fora, an open-source conversation.
Fora, like Fora.tv? I remember that site. That was like 2008, 2009. Maybe 2010.
Platform. The Cortico team hosts small group in-person discussions on local political issues. The Fora app records everything, but the recording is set as private by default. If the participants decide something someone said is important...
Come on, Tim, you ought to know better, man. Get these fucking corporations out of here. As soon as there's money involved, it's not fucking worth it. It's crap generally after that.
They can promote it publicly using the Fora tool. The app produces 2 reports, one highlighting in-group emphasis, which phrases were originally said by an individual but then promoted by the group, and another providing an automatically generated, anonymized summary of the meeting's broader points. Another app I'm excited about is Polis, which has been used in Taiwan to extend direct democracy to citizens. Using the Polis app, participants can post comments about topics or proposed legislation. Other users click agree, disagree, or pass/unsure on each comment. Interestingly, participants...
You're not talking about $1 or a fucking call button on a fucking comment. When you talk about that, you'll have my interest.
Can't respond directly to one another's comments, eliminating thread-derailing arguments and abuse. Polis was used in 2015 to set Taiwan...
More talking at people and not to them. That's great.
...policy for ride-sharing apps like Uber, which faced opposition from local cab drivers.
Yeah, speaking of Uber. Hey, don't interact with strangers. Don't talk to strangers, guys. Oh, okay. I'll get in a fucking vehicle by somebody I don't know and have them drive me somewhere. Come on, dude. Oh, you people.
After a long series of posts to the app, the community came to a consensus that allowed Uber to operate in the country but subjected it to strict regulations. Polis is deliberately designed to promote the norm rather than extremes. It also uses AI to debunk disinformation before it gets a foothold, suspending and eventually banning participants who post it. I'm also enthusiastic about the ongoing research in this area by our friend Jonathan Zittrain, a professor at Harvard University. Zittrain grew up moderating CompuServe forums, and after getting a law degree, co-founded Harvard's Berkman Klein Center, where Rosemary has been a fellow for the past dozen years. He recently launched the Institute for Rebooting Social Media at Harvard to assess and build social media technology in the public interest. Jonathan believes that social media needs government assistance in the manner of public broadcasting to produce higher quality content. It may be that you need a subsidy to produce and possibly to maintain something that isn't the McDonald's of social media, he said recently. You need to subsidize something in the public interest. We need a kind of social media platform capable of winning a Pulitzer Prize. Another idea of Jonathan's is to offer fine-tuned controls for the algorithms that feed content to us. It certainly would be nice if there was a way to turn the dial to something more positive, he said. One way to do this would be to craft algorithms specifically for vulnerable users. One for teenagers, for example, that steered them towards healthier...
You guys can go to IRC and go to, like, Teen Chat or whatever the fuck they have. It's probably not around anymore, but it used to be.
...content. Perhaps another for people who seem to be falling into conspiratorial rabbit holes. If you have two social networks, one that's polarizing and the other that's less addictive but more healthy, you could give your kids the healthy one. Or maybe you could yourself go into the controls and tell the app you're struggling to disengage. The algorithm would adjust to serve you less provocative content. It's not enough merely to fix things. Many years ago, when I was working at Plessey in the UK, I was enrolled in a management course where I was introduced to the motivation hygiene theory advanced by the business psychologist Frederick Herzberg. Despite, or perhaps owing to its odd name, the motivation hygiene concept has stuck with me over the years. Herzberg posited that the factors that lead to workplace dissatisfaction are completely separate from the factors that lead to workplace satisfaction. For example, if you have a workplace that's loud, filthy, noisy, etc., those things will hold you back. But it is not enough just to fix these issues. Once you've cleaned the place up, you need to focus on the motivation. You need to give your employees a mission to strive for in order to create value in their lives. And the perfect time to begin to engineer this moment for the web was on a very special anniversary. Chapter 14. The Contract for the Web. In 2019, the web turned 30 years old. On the 12th of March, Rosemary and the Web Foundation team organised a whirlwind tour of 4 cities around the globe, commemorating the web's past, present and future. It was perhaps the busiest single 24 hours of our lives. We woke up in Geneva for a celebration at CERN, where the web was born. Much had changed at CERN in the intervening years.
What the fuck is up with his voice?
Though we seek a peaceful life, our enemies are many. Of these, none match the ogres in sheer brute power. If you seek to prove your prowess to us, bring me the war beads they wear around their necks. I will tell others of your accomplishments. You are a strong ally indeed, adventurer. Going head-to-head against the ogres of Outland is not something that just anyone can do.
With our leadership in ruin, we are left open to attacks from all sides. The foul Merkblood tribe could not have picked a better time to attack us. In recent days, we have been subject to no less than 5 assaults from the Broken. They have even taken over our only other territorial holding in the area, Sunspring Post. We must strike and show them that we are not powerless. Strike down the vile idolaters and bring me their twisted idols of worship so that they may ride the lightning.
We have lost many friends in recent weeks. For decades we have dealt with the ogres of Nagrand, but now...
Another transsexual.
We have lost many friends in recent weeks. For decades we have dealt with the ogres of Nagrand, but now a new threat has arisen. The broken tribe of Merkblood attacked our fishing village to the southwest, Sunspring Post, and managed to kill or evict all of the orcs that inhabited the town. While the others feel that the best course of action is to kill indiscriminately. I know that we must destroy their leadership. I do not know who their leader is, but I suspect that you will know when you find him.
After the last Merkblood raid, a group of younglings decided to act. We tried to stop them, but the rage had taken hold. It has now been 1 week since we last saw our beloved younglings. Please, champion, you must find them. They have just barely reached adolescence. How can they expect to defeat such savages? They took the road leading west out of town. Follow that road around and look for signs of our younglings. And adventurer, avoid Hala if you value your life. It is a war zone.
It is a distress call, champion. An outside force is attempting to subvert the elements. Murk-blood are capturing and torturing the spirits of air. Murk-blood are my kin, a tribe of the broken who serve the vile Muselek, beast lord of Coil Fang. The air spirit states that the Murk-blood putrefiers are capturing other spirits of air and using them to sow chaos into the ranks of the elements. It would seem that the Murk-blood have recently sacked an orc village to the southwest known as Sunspring and are using powerful elemental magic to disturb the lake. Find the putrefiers and destroy them. You saw them controlling the elements? The wind bent to their will?
Wall is lost in thought for a moment.
This is troubling, adventurer. I must consult with the others. We thank you for your efforts, adventurer. Perhaps you should return to your village and see if they have any other information about the Murk-bloods and their nefarious goals.
The 27-kilometer ring now housed the finished Large Hadron Collider, by far the most powerful particle accelerator the world has ever seen. One of its objectives was to search for the Higgs boson, a particle which interacts with other particles to give them mass. Without the Higgs, there would be no solid matter, no planets, no stars, just a universe of energy whizzing around. The British physicist Peter Higgs had first proposed the existence of this particle in 1964 when he was 35 years old, about the same age I was when I had first proposed the web. 48 years later, and following significant investment, the existence of Higgs's theoretical boson was definitively demonstrated when a 14-meter-tall detector located in a cave on the French side of the border picked up traces of a never-before-seen particle that closely matched its profile.
I have been told stories of my people. They say that once we were warriors. I do not know you, stranger, but I ask for your help. I feel shame for this, but I am only one orc. Emotions have surfaced that I have never felt. I seek vengeance. Blood for blood. I seek vengeance. Blood for blood. Do your people ever feel this? I wish to pick up my axe and split my enemies in two. To swing the weapon until my arms fall lifelessly at my sides. Exhausted. Sunspring Post is directly south of this procession. It is there that you will find our enemies. Kill them. Kill them all.
Sorfang turns to face you.
Is it blood that I smell? I regret being unable to lend assistance. How proud you must be. My chest swells just knowing what you have done. Are there others like you? Where you come from, do more heroes exist? Will you do me one last honor, adventurer? I do not wish to return to Garadar. I believe that my destiny lies elsewhere. That I will serve a greater purpose someday. Please return to Farseer Korhak and tell him that I will not be returning. That I cannot return. I must walk the earth. He will understand.
Higgs, then 83, was in attendance at CERN's auditorium in 2012 when the discovery was announced. Upon learning of his achievement, he removed his glasses and wiped away tears. Theory had intersected with practice, and his life's work was complete. The following year, Higgs was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. That morning in 2019, following a reception at CERN's Glass Box restaurant, I presented my own report on the state of the web at CERN's auditorium. Many old friends and colleagues were in attendance, including Ben Siegel, who'd convinced CERN to adopt the global Internet Protocol standard so many years before, and Robert Cailliot, the first web evangelist, my colleague at CERN, who'd been among the first to see the potential of the web. My public remarks that day closely tracked those of a letter we'd posted to the Web Foundation's site. The web has become a public square, a library, a doctor's office, a shop, a school, a design studio, an office, a cinema, a bank, and so much more, I observed, but I also saw darker forces at work. While the web has created opportunity, given marginalized groups a voice, and made our daily lives easier, it has also created opportunity for scammers, given a voice to those who spread hatred and...
Scammers! Oh! Like the one I've been talking about. Save a Fox. Pretty obvious, a con artist.
Made all kinds of crime easier to commit. With the web turning 30 and me turning 65, I wanted to recapture some of the initial optimism the technology had generated back in the 1990s. In this spirit, the Web Foundation team produced a new foundational text we called the Contract for the Web. Our inspiration was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which...
What about the Debian contract?
The United Nations, UN, adopted in 1948. Over time, several other declarations of this type had been adopted.
Debian.
For example, the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, first adopted in 1958, attempted to collectively manage the world's oceans, while the Outer Space Treaty, passed in 1967, prohibited nuclear weapons in space.
Probably won't mention Debian.
Will you do me one last honor, adventurer? I do not wish to return to Garadar. I believe that my destiny lies elsewhere, that I will serve a greater purpose someday. Please return to Farseer Korhak and tell him that I will not be returning, that I cannot return. I must walk the earth. He will understand.
Sorfang sounded like a retard when he was younger, I guess, huh? I guess he, he overcame his retardation, I guess. It slipped into remission. Retardation went into remission.
And limited the use of the moon to peaceful purposes. Each treaty was an admirable attempt by the world's great powers to confront the difficult task of managing a collective resource that belonged more to humanity as a whole than to any specific country. And, of course, CERN, with its successful model of international cooperation, was the ideal place to present our contract for the web. Announcing the contract as part of the 12th of March festivities generated a lot of buzz and support, with the analytics data showing a good amount of traffic to the Web Foundation website. Moments after presenting at CERN, we left to catch a flight to London, where 10 Downing Street had organised a reception to commemorate the web's anniversary. Following this, we travelled to London's famous Science Museum, where I was scheduled to give a public talk. This was quite a spectacle. I had regularly visited the museum while growing up, and Rosemary had been there many times with her children. We walked through the museum's grand Victorian hall, passing James Watt's pioneering steam engine on the way to the event space, where perhaps 1,000 people were waiting to see Dame Mary Archer present me with a Science Museum fellowship before my remarks about the birthday of the web. Tickets to the event had sold out within minutes. Those in attendance were basically fans of the web. They were my people. The Science Museum's production team made the event appropriately colourful and dramatic. I felt like a rock star. And yet I had barely any time to process it, as we had another international flight scheduled. Our itinerary for the day had been perfectly choreographed, but it required more or less everything to go smoothly. There had been a crash on the M4 motorway between London and Heathrow Airport, which threatened our plans. Racing to the airport against traffic, we barely made our plane to Lagos, Nigeria, for the final events of the day, which was in fact the next morning, but still less than 24 hours after we'd woken in Switzerland. There, Rosemary and I visited the Women's Technology Empowerment Centre, where we saw some of the work the young girls were doing, including learning to code in Python. Here was the future of the web. There is a constant need the world over to help women, and especially girls, get involved in tech. Well, science, tech, engineering and maths, to make sure that all opportunities are open to everyone. And perhaps this is especially the case in developing countries, to help them compete in the global marketplace. So it was important for us to make a stop there, to see the centre addressing this need. Nor were we finished. The following day we got back on a plane to the UK, travelling to the small town of Kirkcaldy in Scotland, birthplace of the economist Adam Smith, to deliver 2 lectures alongside our friend Gordon Brown, the former UK Prime Minister, champion of open data and instigator of the Open Data Institute.
Kilrath speaks in a hushed tone.
These ogres are extremely peculiar. They are also extremely stupid. Look how the fat one makes the, lesser fat ones dance. It's mesmer.
Like I said, I just quested. I never actually read the quest text in these fucking quests. So I'm kind of, even though I've been playing WoW for fucking decades, this is the first time I'm really kind of paying attention to him now. It's fucking funny, dude. Hold on. I want to play this a little bit more loud. Hold on. Oh my god, that's fucking funny. Alright.
Kilrath speaks in a hushed tone.
These ogres are extremely peculiar. They are also extremely stupid. Look how the fat one makes the, lesser fat ones dance. It's mesmerizing. I have been watching these beasts for days. The fat one says that he is waiting for something. What he is waiting for, however, is a mystery. I have a plan, but it is going to involve some violence on your part. You will need to kill several of his subordinates, and then beat him within an inch of his life. Do this, and I am certain he will tell us everything that we need to know.
That's good shit, dude.
For me, the special thing about that day was that Rosemary gave a speech. I had given many, but she only a few. Addressing the economics of inclusion, she talked about whether Adam Smith's invisible hand was serving the world. 3 years before ChatGPT, she picked out AI as being a major future force of economic and societal change, warning of its huge potential impact on the world. She concluded that the invisible hand is not fit for purpose, and instead we need an inclusive hand that allows everyone to benefit from this transformative technology. The speech hit a chord with the locals, as a nearby factory had just closed. Rosemary's father had hailed from a nearby village in Scotland before emigrating to Canada in the 1950s, and I knew she was thinking of him as she addressed the room. I had overbooked myself, but I felt it was important to do so. By 2019, the web was a worldwide phenomenon, as we'd hoped, and to limit our celebrations to just 1 or even 2 countries didn't honour its scope. We had seen a lot of discussions of digital rights, but what we needed was someone to say how we get these rights. We needed a global set of principles and commitments. That was what the contract for the web was for. The idea of the contract had originated with the senior staff at the Web Foundation. Adrian Lovett, the Web Foundation's CEO, convened a working group to draft the document. As with W3C, it was critical that a variety of different voices were brought to the table. Following the announcement at CERN and at other events, we presented the contract in Lisbon, where since 2009 the Irish entrepreneur Paddy Cosgrave has hosted the annual Web Summit conference, which is typically attended by tens of thousands of people, including a number of high-powered decision-makers from the tech and business worlds. Ultimately, a core group of around 12 participants came together to draft the contract. These included representatives from Google, Microsoft, the Web Foundation, the Wikimedia Foundation, and the national governments of Germany and France. After several months of negotiation and debate, we settled on 9 principles we thought the web should adhere to, with 3 principles apiece assigned to governments, companies, and citizens. It turned out later that the chance to discuss the relative responsibilities of these different parties was something the working group participants valued. The principles were broad, declarative statements that we endeavoured to make as easy as possible to understand. For governments. 1. Ensure everyone can connect to the Internet. Through my work at the Web Foundation, I'd come to understand in economic terms what being able to connect to the Internet actually meant, so it was possible to tie this principle to a specific goal. For citizens of Earth, 1 gigabyte of mobile data should cost no more than 2% of average monthly income.
I gotta listen to this. I gotta pay attention. So I'm restarting my server because that guy wasn't spawned for some reason, and I had the same problem last time I came here. He wasn't fucking spawned. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And I think when I restarted the server, he spawned. There he is right there. So he's got a really long fucking spawn time. I wish I had a GitHub account so I can submit the fucking... Unless I killed him without seeing it. And he just has a fucking slow respawn time. Don't kill the fat one. They're all fucking fat, dude.
Come to understand in economic terms what being able to connect to the Internet actually meant, so it was possible to tie this principle to a specific goal. For citizens of Earth, 1 gigabyte of mobile data should cost no more than 2% of average monthly income by 2025. We called that 1 for 2. I'm very proud to say this has been achieved in the overwhelming majority of countries. For example, in Tanzania, 1 gigabyte of mobile data currently costs about 84 cents, which satisfies the requirement. 2. Keep all of the Internet available all of the time. Our specific concern here was government-triggered Internet blackouts, particularly as a means of information control during periods of civil unrest. We've seen a lot of this over the years, notably in Iran, where the regime introduced a week-long Internet blackout in 2019.
Let me live, and I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
The test was a resounding success. We can certainly use this device to start repairing the domes. Carry word of the test results to the Storm Spire. And let Gabar know that I've also found a pattern in the damage to the shield generators. Key pieces of generator units have gone missing from a number of sites. This is no accident, adventurer. No technological failure. We're being stolen from.
You know, I got to get into database modifying because I could fix this myself, I bet. I bet it's easy to change the respawn time of mobs right in the database, but it's not something I've typically done. Hey, is he coming? Oh, don't kill me, but comes back and gets his ass kicked.
I'll have my techs get to work on those repairs right away. Tashar's suspicion of sabotage worries me, though. I can't think of anyone who would be bold enough to steal our technology. Not anyone who knows what we're capable of anyway. It may be time to lock down the storm spire.
Okay, I gotta listen to what Tim is saying here. This is important.
It currently costs about 84 cents, which satisfies the requirement. 2. Keep all of the internet available.
For governments, okay. Let's see.
I'd come to understand in economic terms what being able to connect to the everyone can connect to easy as possible to understand.
Here it is. For governments. So, all right. Principles. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to zoom in on this, actually. Let me mute this fucking this audio real quick. Save my character. Bring this guy to me. I gotta look at this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna hit. These are called the main principles, I guess. That's what he's naming them, or at least I named them that. So this is the audiobook I'm just going to play. Wait, the audio's still... Shut the fuck up.
For governments. 1. Ensure everyone can connect to the internet. Through my work at the Web Foundation, I'd come to understand in economic terms what being able to connect to the internet actually meant, so it was possible to tie this principle to a specific goal. For citizens of Earth, 1 gigabyte of mobile data should cost no more than 2% of average monthly income by 2025. We called that 1 for 2. I'm very proud to say this has been achieved in the overwhelming...
Dude, there should not be a limit of data. It's always been unlimited from as far back as I remember. But they only change it to not unlimited after all fucking these cell phone people came here. In fact, Xfinity just recently announced that they're getting rid of their data caps because they're starting to get more competition from fiber. God damn it. I don't like this limit. No, not 1 gig.
Overwhelming majority of countries. For example, in Tanzania, 1 gigabyte of mobile data currently costs about 84 cents, which satisfies the requirement. 2. Keep all of the internet available all of the time. Our specific concern here was government-triggered internet blackouts, particularly as a means of information control during periods of civil unrest. We've seen a lot of this over the years, notably in Iran, where the regime introduced a week-long internet blackout in 2019 in an attempt to suppress protests. Such broad internet shutdowns are a way of preventing citizens from organizing against authoritarian regimes. 3. Respect and protect people's fundamental online privacy and data rights. We have such an intimate relationship with our web browsers. Our deepest secrets are contained there, and digital citizens absolutely must have the expectation of protection from spying governments. Sadly, even Western governments routinely violate these rights, as the Snowden revelations show.
But then again, you can protect yourself using the right software and right settings. Firefox by default is not good enough. You have to make some changes in Firefox to really protect your privacy.
For companies, 1. Make the internet affordable and accessible.
Dude, I hope he mentions it. He's probably not going to mention it. But the most important thing for ISPs or companies is not just making it affordable, but allowing you to open ports. That is so important. In fact, I got to email this Tim guy, dude. I mean, I appreciate what he did, but I don't feel that he's going to fucking say anything about that. Opening ports is a real threat to the internet. What I mean is that these 5G mobile home internet services like T-Mobile and shit, they're starting to have 5G home internet. And that might sound nice for people. However, it uses something called CGNAT, which means that you can't open ports and run your own fucking server, dude. This should be in this list. We have to be able to open ports so we can run our own servers if we want to. And if he missed that, I'm gonna get fucking pissed, dude. And I'm gonna email this fucker. I am. If he doesn't mention that part. That is, I really think that these companies are gonna disable that ability, man. And if they ever do that, we are fucked.
To everyone. This principle was drafted with
I think that's even more dangerous than the price. The price, affordable, yeah, but I don't mind paying more. I'm not worried about that, though. What I'm worried about is not being able to run my own fucking server. And I hope he fucking mentions it.
Income users in mind. Businesses naturally cater to the wealthy, as those are the customers with the most disposable income. We wanted a more equitable web. Among other goals, we wanted to ensure that the convention of network neutrality was respected, so that internet service providers did not speed up or slow down web access based on users' choice of website.
Yeah.
2. Respect and protect people's privacy and personal data to build online trust. There is a feeling people get, based on the uncanny accuracy of targeted advertising, that your smartphone is secretly recording your conversations and sharing them with advertisers. The truth is even more nefarious. Your phone doesn't have to record your conversations. The vast amount of data your phone harvests from you allows it to infer your interests, even as they develop. Still, the fact that so many people believe they are being illegally recorded suggests that companies have not done enough to safeguard privacy and data rights. This must change.
Well, once again, if you buy the right cell phone and you install the right apps, you actually have control over what, of course, permissions are given to these stupid apps. So that gives you some power over whether or not that's happening.
3. Develop technologies that support the best in humanity and challenge the worst. We wrote this in the hope that the web could remain a public good that puts people first. Investing in open protocols and building and developing the digital commons in an inclusive way is the key. The goal here is to promote connection between people, not engagement with algorithms.
Yeah.
Most of what's on the internet is in fact benevolent, or at least not harmful, but too many people, especially kids, spend too much time using a small number of addictive social media services. In such a world, we must build better platforms and content to boost human flourishing and support democracy.
Fine, but then again, your kids should have some sort of a net nanny installed.
For citizens. 1. Be creators and collaborators on the web. The idea of intercreativity was at the heart of what I'd always wanted the web to be, and of course citizens had responded in exceptionally creative and intelligent ways. There are thousands of examples, but one is music. It is possible, using modern web technology, for musical collaborators around the world to write hit songs and even hit albums without ever occupying the same room. Here, the citizens of the world have exceeded all expectations. 2. Build strong communities that respect civil discourse. And
let me go ahead and engage in that right now by opening up voice chat. Here it is. Oh, one-click voice chat, ready to fucking go. And like I said,
end-to-end encryption is on.
Isn't that a beautiful thing, dude?
End-to-end encryption is off.
Not that I'm looking to talk to anybody, but unless you got some beef you want to squash, whatever you want to call it.
Human dignity. The web can connect people around the world, and even people with different perspectives from within the same society. There will always be some friction when this happens, of course, but the systems we have now bring out the worst in us. The alternative is to build technical solutions that encourage people to find the common good in one another. 3. Fight for the web.
Already doing it.
The last principle was our way of reminding citizens that the open web we enjoy is not some eternal feature of our universe.
And it's not something that corporations run. I wish cell phone people would understand that. The open web is just that, open. Corporations don't run it. They're here with the same level playing field as us.
There are constant political threats to the web's openness, and these must be combated via political action, donations, and of course the ballot box. Citizens must view the open web as a political right they fight for, just as they fight for freedom of assembly or freedom of speech. Between my networking at the Lisbon Web Summit and various contacts at the Web Foundation, we were ultimately able to get about 80 major companies to sign up to the web contract, including Google, Microsoft.
He didn't fucking say anything. He didn't mention port opening. I really feel that that's a possible threat. I mean, there are already people who are on the internet who lack the basic functionality of what's expected of the internet and internet service providers. And he has not mentioned that once. And I think that's so fucking important. Because if you can't run your own web servers, which he did talk about before, and you lack that ability to do so, you're missing out on the empowerment he fucking talks about.
Amazon and Twitter. The contract was non-binding, of course, and there will always be bad actors who don't conform to some or even any of these principles. That's true of the Declaration of Human Rights, too. The idea is not so much to pass a law as it is to create a statement of principles and embed those principles over the long term into international norms.
Ogres are moved by one thing, might. If we expose ourselves to them as being weak, they will take advantage of that weakness and wipe us out. Garrosh might be ready to lie down and let the ogre dogs take our lands, but I am not. I need you to deliver a message to the Boulder Fist, adventurer. The only type of message that they are capable of understanding. Brutality.
Violence.
Travel to the Burning Blade ruins southeast of here and show them the might of the Magar. And adventurer, check in with the others before leaving.
If you're venturing into the Burning Blade ruins, I have a task for you. Take these Maghar battle standards and place them at 3 distinct locations in the Ogre compound. An area of high visibility is recommended. Look for the gigantic flaming pyres on the upper levels. Place a standard near the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Burning Blade pyres. The standard will leave a lasting impression upon any ogres who may have missed the battle.
Our task is not yet finished. There are more that must be taught a lesson.
You have given the Lightning Sons hope. Adventurer, if our leader will not protect us, perhaps there are others that are capable. Like you.
Farseer Korhuk stares at the ground, lost in contemplation. He nods his head affirmatively. Farseer Korhuk wipes a tear away. The Son is the Father. May the spirits have mercy on those that stand in his way.
So, this is the face of our enemy? I will have this put upon a pike and placed outside of Garadar, near the gates. Should they think to attack us again, they will see the consequences for their actions looking down upon them.
My original orders were to remain in Garadar for a short time. Then continue on and report to Blood Golmok at Shadow Moon Village.
None of these voices match. I'm sorry. Thank you to whoever did this. Whatever his name was, I forget. But it's not there, man. I don't know how they did the first fucking vanilla, but they did a really good job on vanilla. Like, the voices actually match, dude. Like, a goblin is a goblin. A dwarf is a dwarf. There's maybe a couple mistakes in there. I mean, a couple. But it's not like this, where everything is off. I think he just did like a copy paste job or whatever. I don't know what he did, but this is not even close. I'm gonna wait for something better, obviously, and if I do find something better and more accurate, I'm definitely gonna update my text guide.
My original orders were to remain in Garadar for a short time, then continue on and report to Blood Golmok at Shadow Moon Village. What I've seen in my time here is that Garadar could benefit from a long-term Horde liaison. I know that Bloodguard Golmok needs all the troops he can get, but I know he'll understand that my mission here isn't yet complete. Travel to Shadow Moon Village, in northwestern Shadow Moon Valley, and inform Bloodguard Golmok of my delayed arrival.
Perhaps you would like another task. A more delicate matter, eh?
I'm gonna quick email Tim Berners-Lee. Forgive the theatrics. Um, I'm just emailing Tim Berners-Lee right now, the author of this book. Okay, let's see. I'm going to CC a copy to myself just in case. Sometimes. All right, I'll read it to you. It's short. To the point, I just had to email Tim Berners-Lee based on what I'm reading in his book right now. I said, Tim, reading your recent book's principle list, I'm a bit upset that you missed the most obvious one, ports. ISPs, at least in the United States, now offer 5G home internet, as you may be aware. These use CGNAT. ISPs that use CGNAT are selling what essentially is crippled internet service. How? CGNAT does not allow the opening of ports, thus the ability to run a server from your home. Running a server from your home is the only real thing that gives us a true and real level playing field with the invasive corporations. If we lose the ability to run our own servers, which I fear could easily happen, the internet is over. Don't you find this to be a real threat now that so many people are on CGNAT ISPs? Many people who aren't on CGNAT don't even realize that they have the ability to run their own web servers from home. This is my only contention with your otherwise great book so far. Okay, I just got something in the mail. I will return. I ordered a very rare CD-ROM on eBay, which I will be uploading to the Internet Archive today. So I got to go get it right now. Be back later.